Hi, this is Matt with AppliancePartsPros.com. Today we'll be showing you how to repair your appliance. Remember, anytime you work on an appliance, make sure it's unplugged or the circuit breakers are off so there's no chance of electrocution. In this video we're going to show you how to change out the Whirlpool Washer Rotor Position Sensor. It's going to be a very easy repair and should only take a few minutes to show you how to do it. If you already have one of these, great. If not, you can click on the link below or get it at AppliancePartsPros.com. When you open up the package, you're going to get the new Rotor Position Sensor. The rotor position sensor is what tells the control board the position of the rotor. The main reason to be changing it out is if it's failed and you got an error code and the motor's not working properly. In order to change the part, we're going to tilt the washer back. First thing we're going to do is tape the lid down. It'll spring up if you don't, so you want to make sure you get it secure. And then you want to make sure you have something behind the washer to support it as you lower it down. Now that we have access underneath the machine, we can take out the rotor. It's held in by a 1/4-inch drive bolt. And we're going to turn the rotor so we line up this hole that's in the stator. Then we're going to put a screwdriver through it to hold it in place. If you have a socket with a 1/4-inch hex head on it, you can use that instead of an Allen wrench. This wasn't on there that tight. We were able to get it off just like this. Once you have it broke free, you can pull the screwdriver out and just unscrew it. Once you feel that the bolt has come out all the way and it's not coming off the threads anymore, then we can grab the motor rotor and pull it off. Once you have it off, you can pull it out of the washer. Once you have the motor rotor off, you want to check for damage. Our motor stator was cracked in 4 places. If yours is damaged too, you want to make sure you check out the repair video on how to change it. We can remove the 4 bolts that hold the motor stator onto the bottom of the washer. We're going to use a ratchet with a 3/8-inch socket. Once you have the last bolt almost out, you want to hold the stator and take the bolt and the retainer ring off. Once you have the ring off and set aside, we're going to wiggle it and get it free. Once you have it off, we're going to carefully lower it down. You want to take the motor shield off and set it aside. Then we're going to take these 3 wire harness mounting clips out, just so we have a little bit more wire to move the stator around. And then on the back side, we're going to disconnect this 3-wire connector. All you have to do is pull it off. And then the rotor position sensor is right here. It has a little locking clip on each side. If you have to, you can lift up with a small flathead screwdriver to break it free. Once you have it off, you can pull it away from the stator. And we're going to set the stator aside carefully. Then we have to remove the rotor position sensor from the wiring harness. We're going to remove this wiring harness here from it. And then we're going to disconnect this one. There's a little locking tab. You have to press on it to release it. And then we're going to flip it around and take a small pliers and get in here and release this clip. Once you have it compressed, you can push it through the other side and pull the rotor position sensor off the wiring harness. Here's the old rotor position sensor next to the new one. If you already have one of these, great. If not, you can get it at AppliancePartsPros.com. To put the new rotor position sensor in, we're going to first attach it to the wiring harness. All we have to do is press this tab in and lock it in. Once you have it locked in place, then we can turn it over, and we're going to have to reconnect the small wiring harness to the rotor position sensor. All you have to do is press it in so it locks into place. And then we can route this wiring harness through the little holder. If you have to, you can use a small screwdriver to press it down in there. Once we have the wiring harnesses in place, we can grab the stator and put the rotor position sensor back on it. Once you bring the stator back in, there is an arrow right here that lines up with the arrow on the rotor position sensor. So we're going to line that up, and this tab goes in between the two coils. Then you can push it back so that the two locking tabs, one on each end, snap into place and hold it in position. Once you have it in position, we can reattach the wiring harness over here. All you have to do is plug it on all the way so you get a good connection. And then we can rotate the stator around, and we're going to remount these wiring harness holders. All you have to do is press them in. Once you have them in place, we can carefully put the motor shield behind it. You want to make sure that the cutout for the rotor position sensor is over there at 3 o'clock. Once you have it in place, we can lift the stator up and line up the bolt holes so we can put them in. Once you have the stator in place, you can put the bracket in and hold it in. And then we can use the 3/8" socket with the ratchet to get the upper bolt started to hold it in place. Once you have the first one in, you go around and put the other 3 in. Now that we have all the bolts tightened down, we can put the rotor back on. When we took the rotor off, we noticed that there was thread locker on the bolt that holds it on. It's really hard to put the thread locker down onto the bolt because it's in the rotor like that. So we're going to take some blue thread locker and put it up into the threads into the drive shaft. You want to make sure you use blue so it's not completely locked on there and you'll never get it off again. Once you have the thread locker up into the threads, we can put the rotor back in place. You want to be careful when you're putting the rotor back on. You want to make sure that the splines on the drive shaft line up with the ones in the rotor. If you force it on there, you might damage the splines on the rotor. If you have to, you might have to turn it back and forth a little bit to get it to line up with the splines. Once you have it on, we can use our 1/4" Allen wrench to tighten it down. Once you have it tight, we can spin the rotor until the holes line up, and we can put the small Phillips screwdriver in there again, and then torque the bolt down a little bit to tighten it up. Now that we have the washer put back together, we can carefully lower it back to its feet. Once you have it lowered down, we can take the tape off the lid. Once you have the tape off, you can plug the washer back in and take it for a spin. Thanks for joining us for another successful repair brought to you by AppliancePartsPros.com. Check out our other repair videos on our site, Facebook, and YouTube.